Hope Channel, changing lives.
Hello, wherever you are this evening. The good news continue. Hope Business Forum 2.0. I still received text message from yesterday. Today, we are here for such a wonderful exposure. Are you ready? Before we go to the classroom and before I introduce the gentleman with us, I just want to share with you. It is only God who can create out of nothing. When I was growing up as a child, one of the greatest prayers I always ask God for is there something that could help us to wash clothes and wear it back without washing with our hands? That thing that we always run away from, pounding on fufu. Do you know, I stopped eating fufu just because I didn't want to pound. It is too much work. Thank God, innovation and creativity, it is something that if you embrace in part of your life, it changes everything and it makes life so easy. Can you imagine going to change channels one after the other, going to the TV sets, and the old television that we use, part of the paint around the edges, the way we sweep, always weath off. Think about it. Creativity and innovation. What is coming into your mind today? What have you thought about today? Can you make life better? To the entrepreneur, seeing distress, frustration is a good news because you take upon that and say, what solution can I provide? Do you have a solution for a problem? Don't miss this presentation this evening. Innovation, creativity, and leadership. And I tell you what, we've got a man who will be able to take us through. Before we go to the classroom, I just want you to take your pen and paper and write this number down, because you have to send your text message coming in while the presentation is going on. And as soon as the presentation is over, you can send your text messages and you can call. And you can even send a text message while the presentation is still rolling. The number is 055-968-0066. The number again, 055-968-0066. With your numbers ready and with your tab by your side and your notes, your paper and pen ready, let me introduce the man. Elder, how are you today?
I'm fine, very fine, very fine.
Good to see you. We don't see you often. I think you sit in the office too much. So it's good to have you here. And how is Bayport Savings and Loans doing?
We are doing great, God's grace.
CEO of Bayport, Elder Tete. Elder, it's nice to have you this evening.
Thank you very much.
If you have advice for young people, budding entrepreneurs, people who now are at the point of critical mode, we never dreamt of this, but we have to do everything to do it to survive. We didn't create this. But wow, we are in it. We have to survive. If you have a general advice, what advice will you give to businessmen and women out there?
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up. Don't lose hope. Put your heart into what you're doing right now. Don't give up. We're not dead yet, and until we are, we can only strive. So just keep at it. Don't give up.
By Elder's extension, you have hope because you are alive. By his extension, once there is life, everything is possible. Don't kill yourself. Don't bend yourself into pieces. The business might even go, but you still have life. Greater days ahead. Look forward with hope. And that is why Hope Business Forums comes to your house right now. Elder, we're going to join you into classroom.
Thank you.
What should we be looking forward to tonight?
So tonight, we're going to spend some time just looking at the themes around creativity and innovation and leadership. And these are huge topics. I mean, there are entire doctorate programs on each one of them.
It's unreasonable to push this three on you within a few minutes.
You can't put them in 30 minutes. So I'm just going to look at themes that are relevant for the times you're in, especially this time of the pandemic. What are the things that are related to creativity, innovation, and lessons that I have actually just recently crystallized in my mind.
I like the practical aspect.
So these are things that I've been fortunate to listen to some great people speak, and just drawing out from my experience, they now make sense to me.
That's right.
And I just want to share those same experiences with others. And I
I
hope
tell
it
you,
blesses
we
everyone.
just can't wait to sit under your feet and learn. And what I can
Under
promise
Jesus'
you,
feet, we will learn
the
more.
audience out there and the viewers out there, trust me, the technical words and everything, they know it. Now they know how to Google, they know how to get the information. So do the best you can on that subject, and we believe strongly that as we sit on your feet, we'll be blessed.
God's grace.
So I hand over to you as you take us to the classroom.
Thank you very much.
All the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure, a real honor to be here. Doc, thank you so much for your gracious introduction. And I want to thank the audience for making time. It's a very difficult time, and even though we've got a lot more of it at our disposal, you'll find that you still don't have enough time. So I really appreciate you making time to join us. Like I explained earlier on, these are very large subject areas, and so I'm going to be just looking at specific themes and areas within the subjects that have been provided, and I will try to make some sense out of them and share with you certain learnings that I have recently crystallized myself. Many people use creativity and innovation interchangeably. And even when they don't, and they understand what it means, it's not always straightforward. And I'll explain. Just a few days back, I was sharing what I was about to present with my family. Mainly my daughter and my wife. And my daughter, my second daughter, has got a very intuitive mind. And so when I was doing this, I was trying to hear myself think as I was talking to her. And when we had a conversation about a lot of things I was going to say, she said, so Dad, creative people are better at innovating, but you don't have to be creative to innovate. And I said, wow, that's deep. Now, can you explain a little bit more? And she says, no, even though you need to be creative to do this, even though it's creative people who do innovations, you don't have to be creative to innovate. So then I was really struck by her thought. But just today, whilst I was thinking about it, I said, now, we may be a little wrong on that supposition, and let's take it again. The very fact that you actually provide a solution to a problem means you can innovate. And the fact that you created it means you're creative. So there may be many shades of creativity for many people. The amazing thing that we all have is that we have the ability to create solutions. And we'll get a little bit more into that as we go later. And I will explain myself a bit more fully. Tonight, I'd like to very much thank Dr. Kobe Mensah. Yesterday, I was listening to Sostak. It was great to go back to the tool. And if you're starting out your business, believe you me, what Dr. Kobe did yesterday was put in your hand a tool that you don't need any MBA class to go and get.
That's right.
You just need to go through the steps, and you can start your own business without hustle. And so, Doctor, thank you so much for brilliantly lifting off the program yesterday. And I'll get into the subject matter immediately. So, what's creativity? And this is the only time I'm going to try to attempt to define it. And I'm not going to give you any plenty textbook or dictionary explanation. But when we talk about creativity, we are talking about the unleashing of the potential of the mind to conceive new ideas or new perspectives, new solutions, the ability of the mind to imagine ways of doing things. And when we talk about innovation, we are talking about introducing change into a stable environment or system. And the change comes about because you make changes in the methods or the ideas or even in the products. And as a result, you get a certain tangible benefit that is realized. The difference between the two of them is often focus. So whilst creativity is that engagement of the mind to come up with several or many ideas about how to do things, many original ideas, many unusual, new, different ways to go about things. With innovation, it usually is very laser focused. You are doing this in order to get that out. So, whilst creativity is not innovation, you need both as a business person. Now, I don't want you to drop and go into this sadness and say, no, but I'm not one of those creative people. And I'll tell you a story very soon that will help you. Don't worry about that. Like I said earlier on, somehow God has given each of us the ability to solve problems. And if you don't believe it, think about it. Every single day, we actually create. We actually innovate. By now, if you've traveled the same route to work 100 times, in the last 40 times, you've probably found a way to get to work faster by using a different route, by using a certain number of maybe structure or a car or a taxi, or you've decided, okay, if I walk to this place, you found a way to do it in the most efficient way over the last few times you've tried it. And so you're innovating. You don't have a big title on it, but that's what it is. And as we go into the presentation, I'll share a bit more what that is. So what is creativity? Creativity does not run the business. It's not the one that moves the invention to the commercial aspect of the business. It's innovation that does that. However, that innovation cannot happen without creative people. You need creative people in order to bring about the innovation. Shaw Hunter, a well-known author on the subject of innovation, ventures that innovation is the implementation or creation of something new that brings about realized value. And if we want to picture it better, what you would say is, so creativity is that ignition spark in the car, and innovation is the gas to the pedal that produces the results. So the new idea creates the spark, and innovation is when you step on the pedal, that the gas or the petrol that comes through the engine to keep that fire on, that makes the car move from one point to the other. So that's what, if you're looking at a difference, you'll be looking at. There's an interesting quality to creativity. And on my slide, I put that creativity needs room to breathe. And I make that point because if you are a brand new entrepreneur, and my wife she's just started a business, and it's very interesting watching her experiences. You're the jack of all trades. You are a marketing manager, you are a sales director, you are the accountant, you are the receptionist, you're doing all of these things. And for the new entrepreneur, in order to keep their energy up, in order to put the business out, it's a state of constant activity, constant flux. Everything is happening. All of these things are happening. And so sometimes you don't have space for creativity. And the reason is very simple. Creativity, when creativity requires space, you need time. You need to have collected a lot of information. And when the brain is relaxed around an issue that it is constantly grappling with, and I don't know whether you're like that, but I have a very annoying behavior. I keep a notepad close to me. When something hits me and I'm sleeping, I've trained myself to get up and put it down so that it doesn't disappear in the dream. Because the next day, and for some of my colleagues who I've worked with in the last few years, I have a very bad behavior of sending emails at 2 a.m. Just for the simple fact that when the brain finally captures all those ideas, it's so important to put them down because that's the state in which your mind is best able to read. But when you're a new entrepreneur and you're doing all these things, you're selling, you're creating, you're trying to make things happen, you don't have the time to properly create. And sometimes that is a challenge. Let me share with you what a CEO of a startup said. He said, I make too many bad decisions because I need to perform under pressure. But I wonder what I would do if I had more breathing space. So there's a distinction between what you can accomplish if you give yourself time to think. And sometimes I have this challenge with my wife. I tell her, chill, chill, just relax. Spend some time thinking about this. It will come to you. And very often when you're under that kind of pressure, you don't want to do that because you feel like you're losing too much space and time. But you need to create space to create. Okay, that was too many creates in one sentence. But I hope you understand what I'm trying to get to. Now, because I said there's too much, this requires so much time, and I'm doing just specific themes around it, I'm going to jump into what needs to happen if you're starting a business and you want to start right. What do you need to do now if you're starting a business and you want to start right? Start with the problem. Start with the problem. And this is where we are talking about purposeful creativity, because sometimes creativity is great, but at the point in time which is created, you might not appreciate what it has application for. I was sitting and talking with a business owner friend of mine, and he says, "Nee, I've realized that sometimes when I think of something, it takes 5 years for it to gestate. And I'm so frustrated because when I try it doesn't work out. And I've started packing, I've got this junkyard of ideas. But I find out that those ideas come and earn me big money 5 years down the line because the time has come and my mind has finally arrested how to deploy that solution." And so start with a problem. If you're starting a business, during this time, we've had a lot of difficulties in terms of people losing their jobs and people wondering what to do in a difficult time like this. Start with a problem. Look around your area. Look in your neighborhood. Where are the problems? And I know you've heard this very much, but it is not cliche. This is really true. Only if you have a problem can you direct your mind to find the solution. And when you have a solution, and in the finding of a solution, you find your creative juices beginning to pump. And when you actually answer the question, what is the solution, you begin to start to create processes to innovate. So start with a problem. The next thing, think through the problem. And you can do this alone or with creative friends. Make it fun. I don't know about you, but sometimes you'll find out that the best ideas come when you're having fun. A few years ago in my previous life, we set aside days in the week where we'll just meet for an hour and a half, and we just threw crazy ideas. And I remember 2 such sessions where people said the craziest thing in the banking sector. This was 2017. By 2019, those were not funny things anymore. Those weren't jokes. Those were the actual solutions that were driving e-commerce, actual solution driving fintech in the banking sector. And for those who were in those meetings, you remember exactly what I'm talking about. I remember someone threw an idea and everybody just went, "You are crazy." and I said, no. I want that on the board. And I want that as an action. And I kid you not, within a year, we were actually now realizing that we are taking it too lightly. This was something we should have actually done. So don't despise the solutions that you throw up when you start to solve a problem. So start with the problem, think through it, and then call friends. Make it fun. Just say, okay, if I were to start this business, supplying water, everybody does that, but I want to make it different in that I want to go to the businesses, list my customers, and make sure that I can provide it to them at their doorstep at every time. What do you think? You hear ideas of actual customers and how they feel about this, and you'll get solutions. These are not things that are far away. I'm sure this is something you've thought about before, but you've always thought that it doesn't really do anything. Start again and start to put more effort into solving the problem. If you have the opportunity to hire for competence, let's say you start a business, you don't yet have enough space to hire many people, but you want to hire just one person or 2 people. Hire first for competence, that the people can do this job, but then begin to look for your company's creative genes. And what I mean is this: when you find 3 people who you have the potential, you have the opportunity to hire, set them a creative challenge. Let them go at it. Find out which of these 3 people is comfortable with creating solutions. And that's how you start to build the creative genes for your company. Now, I want to tell you something. Don't think that people who are structured do not have solutions. You'll be surprised. I've gone to many meetings where it's the accountants or the very structured, organized people who actually do bring out the solution. Then that's when the creative people finally figure out what to do. Everybody has value. But if you are starting as a startup, you want that between the two of you, there's enough creative energy in the room to actually charge the place up. And so start to build your creative genes. Begin your innovation templates. And don't forget what I said at the beginning. Innovation is making small changes, which are either small methods, small ideas, which result in specific changes, specific improvements that are of value to the company. So how do you do that? So my wife makes clothes. She has a penchant for exactitude and great finishes. And one day we're talking about this innovation, and I said, you don't need to have a consultant to teach you innovation now. You've made so many mistakes, you've learned from them. And because of those mistakes, you've actually made changes. One of the people she works with found out that instead of making a dress the whole day, I'd rather sit, cut all the things I've got for this week, and then spend the next day just stitching them up. And because of that, he gained on time, and his output grew literally by almost 30 to 35%. The point I'm making is, when you start your company, begin to note the small changes you make that actually result in improvements that give you value. When you record them and keep track of them, what you find yourself doing is that you build that as a habit for the company. And as you grow bigger, you invest more in the process. And so you do not need to now start at the 10 years down the line and bring a consultant to teach you to be innovative. You've got that in your genes from the start because you're keeping record of all those little improvements. And it's very critical. Sometimes for simple businesses, even like an Uber driver, you get up in the morning and you go through these routes, or you go to this area where people are very used to taking Ubers because you've actually found out that actually when you go towards East Legon and the airport area, you get 3 times the number of calls for pickups than if you are in Medina or data. And I'm please, I don't have any data for this. I'm just saying this. So as an Uber driver, what you do is, instead of starting your journey from Adenta, Medina, drive straight to airport or East Legon and wait there. You save time, you save fuel, and those are the little things I'm talking about. The problem is because we don't record and keep track of them, we think that there's nothing to it. I'm going to go a little faster. Seriously consider injecting spaces for creativity. And what that means simply is find time to relax and think as a team about how you can improve things. Find the time. A lot of us talk about how great Google is and all of that. Have you seen the Google Spaces? You almost think it's a giant play park for adults. They're doing more playing. It looks like they're doing more playing than that. But because of the environment, they create a space where they can create. And that's something that we need to do. And it's small things. It's as little as finding games that people play during certain times of the day. Believe you me, you will not be wasting time. You actually add value to it. And I in my previous life, in one of the offices I went to outside, they had spaces where people just sat and drank coffee and tea. I mean, creative spaces, very beautiful spaces. And if you're standing outside, you're thinking, isn't this a waste of space? Well, it's a very established business. They've been around for many years. So it's easy to do things like that. But the value you get out of things like that is shocking. And so even for a small business, how do you create spaces for creativity? When you're thinking of solutions, the very last thing, when you're creating solutions, think like the customer. One of the biggest mistakes that businesses make is you create solutions thinking the customers will like it. And then when you propose it to them and price it, they tell you, it's too expensive. Or it doesn't make sense to me. Because you as the business was thinking, we can do this. But you haven't found out whether the customer actually wants that. We started in a room many years ago looking at solutions for customers in the retail banking space. And we proposed a long list of things. just when I was going to office, it just occurred to me, and I said, you know what, let's do a survey. Let's find about 400 customers and ask them to answer questions about what they like about these things. Would you believe of the 20 solutions we thought we could bring ahead, customers chose only 2. The rest of it, we asked them about, and they said it was nonsense for them. I think that's one of the things that works and makes their life easy. You have got to create this. So think like a customer. If you were buying your product, what do you want in it? You've bought some of that product that you're now selling or you're providing. What do you want in it? A startup during the pandemic, what are some of the things that you must know? What are the things you must do? Very first thing, you must be able to reach your target market via social media or online. We simply cannot continue the old ways. Because think about the pandemic. If you're in a lockdown or where your movement is limited and all of that, where else would they get to see you? And a lot of us have been laughing about whether Ghana has got more phones than human beings. People have even 2, 3 phones in Ghana, and they all have access to internet. And if you're telling me that you cannot reach them with this one, you're actually missing out on the market. So if you're a startup and you're not reaching your market virtually, you have a big challenge. You need to learn how to do that. You must be able to effect payments online. Please, even if it's not card or EFT, Momo works. If you have not learned how to do Momo, learn how it works. Go and find out what the merchant charges are so that you can really buy into it and make sure your customers are comfortable doing it. Find out how you can also put your money in your account so that your bankers can see it, but it helps you to track your funds too better. Please learn how to use it. Start to learn about e-commerce. E-commerce is trading, transacting on internet, online. Find out why people are making money on this thing. The largest or the most valuable company on earth today is an e-commerce company. They just hit $1 trillion in value, Amazon. And just take a look at what's happened over the pandemic. In the US, retail sales in e-commerce have grown from as little as 5-6% to 22 to 23%. The world in the future is going to depend on e-commerce to transact. And if you don't know anything about it, you're actually missing out. Your catalogs, information about your products, who are the people doing deliveries in the system, all of these things must go online. They must be virtual. Learn about it so that, and right now you don't need complicated solutions. Very simple solutions, you can get it through. For existing businesses, during the pandemic and beyond, and these are just ideas that I had recently come to do. Very first thing, there are 2 solutions in the short term you can immediately apply. You can use the same infrastructure to deliver different products. And this is, for example, the automobile companies in the US, GM, Tesla, Ford, who started to make ventilators. In Ghana, we saw Casapreco move from making booze, to making sanitizers and sanitizing alcohol. That's right. They had the infrastructure, they just changed the product. And voila, business is back in play again. They are not losing out on the sales that they were looking. We saw Sleek Garments, that was making a lot of costumes for export. No one is going out, no one is interested in garments anymore. They love Africa, but no one is really taking those clothes anymore because they're at home. A t-shirt and jeans is just fine. And if you've noticed today, people really don't care about what they're wearing in town. They just go out. No one is thinking about clothing right now. But people are thinking about protective gear. And so Sleek Garment has moved from making those things that they exported, and they're now making face masks, protective gear, and it's cost business to also run for them. Some shopping malls, because they were seeing low sales, started to have drive-in cinemas, and so they've been able to pick up their business. The other opportunity you have is also using the same products but different infrastructure. And this, we see this in America, you'll see Lyft working for Amazon in distributing things. Or you'll see Uber now working with restaurants to deliver food, Uber Eat. In Ghana, what is really going on, and one of the ideas I really love is what Reggie Rockstone has done with his wache. And we always laughing at it, but those bottles were headed out for hard-earned cash. And if you remember when he was interviewed, he said the money's in the bank already. So if you're laughing about the water in your jar, it's not meant for you. The people who want it have already paid for it. But you need to start to think, what else can I do? If you've got a restaurant and people are not coming to sit at the table to be served, what can you do with the food? Would you sell groceries or would you sell the wache? The there's this interesting concept I want to share very quickly. It's called the Hiroshima cockroach.
Okay.
Now, after the Nagasaki and Hiroshima bombings, guess the things that were still alive when the blast had happened. A lot of humans lost their lives. But guess the things that were still moving around very comfortably? Cockroaches. Now, we don't like cockroaches. They are usually very disgusting to us. But the truth about the matter is that long after human beings are gone, a lot of people believe that there will still be cockroaches. You know why? They've got certain qualities. First, they're agile. Try killing a cockroach. You need at least 3 to 4 hits before he dies. Because when you hit, it swerves. You hit, it swerves. Hides in the corner. They're agile. For your business, how do you improve your agility? How do you move from being stuck in one business model, and when something happens in the industry or the market, you're stuck, you can't move? How do we do that? Cockroaches are also robust. They've got this exoskeleton. You hit it with paper or some broom, you'll be shocked. You are hitting, and the thing is not done. It absorbs shocks. You need to create that redundancy in your business that absorbs shock. And I don't have time, but if the questions come, I will answer about how we can do some of these things. It needs to be resilient. That is, after you are hit and you are down, if you like, turn your back on the cockroach you've hit and go and say you're going to collect the dustpan and come back. By the time you get to the place, that cockroach has disappeared. You need to be able to bounce back. But what is exciting about cockroaches is that they are also hyper resilient. That is, they thrive in spite of it. You go to a place where a lot of things are dead because of some chemical or something like that, you find the cockroaches still around looking for food, multiply in huge numbers and all of that. How do you thrive in the midst? We need to have a mindset that is saying, if Corona is continuing for the rest of this year and next year, what's going to happen? How do I thrive? No one will be now have sympathy for you by next year, because it's not a reality. How do we thrive? Unfortunately, for my favorite topic, I am looking at, we've got a very short time. Please cue me, Doc, if I'm running late. The very first thing is that leadership is cause and everything is effect. But I want to share only 2 concepts about leadership. And these things have become, like I was talking about earlier on. By the way, the ideas I shared with you very early on the innovation in the short term and long term came from Michael Wade, who is with IMD in Switzerland. Okay. And this is coming from a professor called Shlomo Ben-Hur. Now, Shlomo suggests, first of all, that while there are many perspectives and theories and things about leadership, there's a fact that it's not the leader that makes it happen. It's people who make it happen. What good leaders do is to create an operating system or environment within which people feel enabled to make things happen. And I've heard the term, oh, he's a born leader. And yes, there are people like that. But because of this new understanding of leadership, you do not have to be a born leader. And I can list at least 10 leaders who have nothing born in them about leaders, but who have been some of the most successful leaders in history and in business today. If you understand this, the leader is not necessarily the one who makes it happen. And there are cases where it's by sheer charisma people drive things. But if people are the ones who actually change organizations, can the leader create an operating system or environment that enables people to act? Second concept I want to share with you is that companies do not win or succeed by virtue of their size or their performance before the crisis or their market share.
Okay.
The best predictor of a winning company is its behavior. What decisions do the leaders make? What actions do its managers take? To what extent are these actions executed in the normal course of business? It's behavior. Now, underpinning creating the environment that enables people, Professor Ben-Hur talks about 3 factors. And I'm going to speak to you about these 3 factors. There's trust, clarity, momentum. Trust is important. In my previous life, I saw a case where people succeeded because you drove them and You know, when retail bankers like a lot of rah-rah energy and momentum in the system, everybody's, yeah, everybody's excited, you drive it. But there's a big difference when your team trusts you. They've bought into the vision. They believe that you're being honest with them. You are authentic with them. There's a difference between their output and the output when you do all the other nice things that the salespeople tell us to do. Believe you me, the difference is so significant. You can it's actually differentiated, and this is research, by between 30 to 40% in your output. There are companies that have gone very close to collapse, and the team came together, and the leader told them, we are very close to collapse. This is what's going to happen if we don't do this. And the teams come and say, you know, slash half of our salaries, we are going to do this together. And that company comes right out of it, not just surviving, but thriving, because the people trusted the leader.
That's right.
A leader must create trust.
Yeah.
Second thing, clarity. And I know many companies struggle with clarity. They communicate. But if you're one of those companies where you're communicating with a nice, very educated letter, with very close sets, words, very legalese writings, and you expect your staff to read it when they're busy trying to work, you're not going to achieve much. People want to be communicated to in the language they understand. And leaders must try to understand that language in order to communicate appropriately. It's possible to send 100 messages to people, and it's possible for them not to hear even one word. But if we're communicating with them in the language they understand, and sometimes people do not like what you're saying, but if you communicate, they heard you, they don't like it, but they heard you. And leaders must find ways to constantly communicate so that there is clarity. You go to so many establishments where only the leaders know what is happening and everybody else is wondering what's happening. And that's not good. Because you're running off in different directions and everybody has their own agenda. There must be clarity so that from the cleaner or the security man who opened the door for you to the boss, everybody knows why they are there. And I know this for a fact. In my company, we are making so many efforts to try to communicate. And nothing has hit me more clearly than this, especially during the time of the pandemic. It's not enough that you alone know what you're doing. People who work with you must know. There must be clarity. And it's not easy. And it's not done by counting the number of times you're communicating. It must be done excessively, but purposefully, until you yourself, when you speak with one of the members, they repeat to you ideas that you have. That's when you know you're making progress. Clarity is key. Momentum. That's the charisma and energy you need to carry people along. You've set the direction, they trust you, you've got clarity, you've communicated and all of that one. But the company needs a buzz. Even if it's a team of only 3 people, they need to know why they're coming there every day. They need to know why they're putting their energy into it. And there needs to be a buzz in order to make things work. High-performing leaders who create this operating system and enable people to move in their business score very highly on all 3. So this is not one of those things where you can do 2 and then leave 1 out. You must endeavor to, to score highly on all 3. So by now, maybe you know which one you don't do so well on. Can you do something about it? You can. Once you set it as an agenda. I felt recently that I had not communicated enough. I didn't have enough clarity in my firm. And it came out from quite a lot of the challenges that a lot of my colleagues were having. And when I found the challenge, I found out that this was not their fault, it was mine. Yes, it's easy for me to dismiss it and say, these people are not thinking, but that's so wrong. What have you done to help them to consider it from your perspective? And have you listened to their problem too? So that you can all come to a point where you are speaking to each other, not over them and under them and around them, but to them. So for me, clarity was a big thing. And especially during this time where you don't have them physically there to be able to encourage them, and some staff are working from home, we have fewer staff at the office and all of that one. You need to carry them along, and finding the momentum is also a very difficult one. I'm on my very last one. I hope I have time.
Okay.
Okay. And this is just the 3 E's. that these are they craft the behaviors for the firm. Very first one is efficiency. During a time like this, the first thing most firms do is immediately cut cost. Right. And yes, it makes sense. And I appreciate why you're cutting cost. But you're better off probably looking at your efficiency than cutting cost. 2 examples. Office Depot, Staples. I'm sure you've heard of these 2 companies. Office Depot went for 10% cut in their this thing at the start of the pandemic, 10% cut. Staples decided, let's cut down all our shops that are not selling well, and let's bring to the areas where they are selling well more staff. So they did not lose staff, but they actually gained more, because then the people who entered the shops got better experiences. So yes, it is cost efficiency, it's looking at your cash flow, but efficiency is about how can we leave this crisis period being a lot fitter. It's like going for a survival camp, you know? If you went to the place with a little excess fat, or you've got a little pot like I do right now, when you come back, if you have not eaten when you're exercising, you come out fitter and you can last longer. And companies need to work at becoming more efficient. So efficiency is the first E. The second one is evolution. And very often this concept is confused with innovation. Okay. There's a difference. And the difference is this. Evolution is, and if you remember the works of Darwin, survival, it's not the survival of the fittest. He didn't say that. He said the survival of the most adaptable. So when the firm innovates, it innovates in order to deal with a new environment and crisis. And so it becomes fit for that next level of its existence. So the innovation is purposeful in order for it to interact with that next level. So every time it innovates, it moves to a next level of performance. When it innovates, it goes to another level of performance. And your Tamale branch, and your leader at that place is waiting for head office to come and act. Because the last time someone acted, he was dismissed. A leader must create empowerment in his team. People should be able to act without fear of this thing. And this is one thing I found. I have had to deal with colleagues who made a mistake in their actions. And I found out that every time we went hard on that colleague because of their actions, we killed their ability to ever act again. We literally crushed their spirit. Yeah. But when someone made a mistake, the first thing you did is say, you are wrong. You shouldn't have done it like this. You could have done it like this. But you say, I'm happy that you tried. What we'll do is train you so that you know what kind of responses to give. Perfect. The person comes back the next time and he's looking for the opportunity to prove to you that he wants to be right. And because of that, your company is able to act better. Now, many leaders are afraid of empowered leaders because they fear the challenge. Mm. But if you don't have a healthy debate on the most important things in your company, how it should happen, you will not succeed. Good. And you will crumble. Good. I think I am done. Yes, Ada. Today. Thank you very much. I'm amazed, you know. Ada, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm inspired, to be very honest with you. And I believe that I've taken a lot of notes. I don't know what you have put down over there. Now, as I wait for your text messages, let me just announce the telephone number straight away. And, you know, you can join us in this conversation. Very fruitful one. 030-295-9065. You can join us. Once again, thank you. Thank you very much. I've learned a lot, to be very honest with you. You know, the woman who sells tomatoes in the market is a tomato seller. But if this woman would innovate, add a little pepper, tomatoes, garlic, salt, and then you just buy it and go home and start cooking, then we call the woman entrepreneur. Change from just being a tomato seller to an entrepreneur. So innovation is great and it's wonderful to introduce it. A system that we are used to over the years, we become part of it. And sometimes we feel uncomfortable to even change. But what you have actually said, can we add value? Because if we don't in a business and somebody do it ahead of us, we'll die. We're gone. So it's either you innovate or your business collapse. Yeah. And it has to be everyday thing.
It is a powerful statement. Now, I can even relate something that we are very used to. You know, after the Sabbath school, and then we move on to procession, and then there is a divine service, and one person mount the stage. Within 45 minutes for an hour, see the number of the people in the room who are sleeping. Can we innovate? So every aspect of our life is calling for innovation.
Yeah.
Where do we start from?
Yeah.
And we need that spirit of leadership as well.
Yeah.
One thing though, from your innovation, constant engagement with a device take away the creative mind to function. And these days, most young people are so stuck. The WhatsApp, the Twitter, the Instagram, everything takes everything. From when you wake up from your bed onto everywhere you go to take a shower. Sometimes you're having a shower at a point in time, still texting. Almost everywhere, sitting in everything. But the question is, this keep on and goes on. And it takes away the critical moment for us to be silent, drop everything, and sit down and wait for that kind of small voice to be able to be creative. Yeah. You've challenged us today. Okay. We are blessed. Somebody's on the line who have joined us. Good evening to you, sir. Or madam. Hello? Are you there?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Hello?
Yeah, good evening, sir. Yes, I have a...
Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, that's really great. Talk to me. Where are you? What's your name, if you can start with that?
Yes, I'm calling from Kumasi.
And your name is?
Yes, Nanenchi.
Nana, go ahead.
Yes, I'm much interested in the program. I'm inspired, as a matter of fact. Congratulations in the first place. Yes, my question is, I have an institution, what is a PK, with this COVID-19 issue. What are the techniques that I can use to create, as you made mention, innovation to sustain the business?
Okay. All right. When you say institution, it's like a school. You're running a school or something, right?
Yes. What can I do to sustain my business with this COVID-19 issue all over?
All right. Thank you so much. I'll take the second one. Thank you, Nana. Thank you so much for calling from Kumasi. I have another caller, please. Can you go ahead? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, madam. Your name, and then if you can go ahead with your question or contribution.
It's a contribution. My name is Ellen. God bless you so much for what you've been teaching today. I've really learned a lot from it. And to Daniel Marcus, I said, God bless you so much. I used to be at Bayport watching you. I'm really proud of you. God bless you so much. I've really learned a lot today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you also for calling in. The rest, you can still join us in this conversation. Send your text message, and I've got some text messages coming in, and then also you can actually come into your call. Elder, let me turn to you. This is a wonderful presentation. A lot of changes called. So if the business is dying, don't let it die. Do something else. Think through. Elder, sometimes thinking is not very easy. We are so distracted, and sometimes the suggestions that runs us takes almost completely what we want to do. And many a times, we actually ask for suggestions from people when we ourselves have not sat down to even appreciate the problem. Yeah. So sometimes some of the suggestions that they make is what we drive. And then we get to a point where we are stuck. In most of our life movement, it happens. Yeah. Do we have somebody, a caller on the line? Okay. So, Eda, let me quickly go through some of the text messages. There's a caller on the line. Hello, thanks for joining us. Can you tell us your name?
Hello.
Hello.
I am Vera from Secondary.
Hello.
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 I'm Vera from Secondary.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm a star.
Okay.
Okay, to start with, I really enjoyed this program because it has opened my eyes on so many things.
Right.
I'm a starter. Out there, for using some things for my own personality. But now I want to go into a bigger area by selling. Now I didn't want to be confronted with some laws, and so I just went to FBA that if I could register my product. Then
Right.
I've been asked to go and register my company with registration
Okay.
board. And when I went, I was asked, I was told that it will cost 500.
Okay. The cost of registration of a company, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's, in fact, this is putting me off because just a starter, I have not started selling or doing it. How do I go about this? How will you help me or advise me to go about this?
Okay.
Can I start? I want to start selling and then I'll be confronted with problems from the FDA.
Okay.
And
Okay. So the issue is you want to do what is right before you start selling, or you actually thinking, can I go ahead and raise the money? In the process, if you get arrested, then you end up paying more money, right? I mean, so that is a bit of a decision that you make. But I guess the expert will say that do what is right, even when you have to get a bit of funding on the side to do what is right. Then confidently, you can advertise and you'll be able to get approval, the necessary approval. Registration of a company, if you speak to one person and it's expensive, speak again. And you can actually do this process directly by yourself without any intermediary. That might reduce the cost. And I can bet you, if you are stuck, give us a call. We can take your number. We will actually add you up to the business clinic run by one of the committee members, and then he will be able to advise you in that process, madam. Thank you, sir. But, Elder, we can come on to the first part, the question that was asked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So, and I'm assuming that he said it was a school. I'm thinking it's a school.
All right. Yeah.
And what I'll do, if I'm wrong, I'll just try a few other companies to see if we can give a few suggestions.
Okay.
So the very first thing is, I know it's easy for people to just say, go online and do content for online, but not everybody has got internet access.
To do that.
Ghana is growing, but we haven't yet really got to the point where a lot of parents and households can afford to buy that much data. It's an investment that families should make because increasingly the world is going to shift away from this online, and if you don't have access to it, you actually lose out on what you can do on earth. So families need to invest in it. But I think that you can start, over this period for schools, I've seen so many variations of the content they've put out there. The very first thing is that, first of all, you must create value that the parents would want to pay for. No parent is keen to pay school fees during a time when the children are at home, when the benefit of school is really, can you get them out of the house so that I can go to work? Right. So very many parents want to see value before they can do it. So you need to plan your content. The content must make sense. And I've seen this on those are the very extreme end of it, are able to host video classes where they are able to teach like you're still in class, so that the student sits there, listens to the teacher, assignments are given, they are checked, they are marked. But I've seen it go to as low as everything sent by WhatsApp.
That's right. Ada, let me let you pause right there, and let me take maybe possibly our last caller, and then we come back to conclude. Hello, how are you?
Hello.
If you can speak up a little for me, please.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, I can hear you.
Yeah, my name is Faisal. I'm calling from Upper West.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm listening to you, sir.
Yeah. I'm a business guy.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have my brother, so I want to.
You want your brother to talk for you? Is that the case?
I have a brother, so anytime I want him to help me with my business.
Okay.
Yeah. Anytime I give him the opportunity to learn, he always mess up things.
Okay.
Like I give him a chance like 3 times.
Okay.
So maybe anytime when I come back to see there's some problem, I complain.
Okay.
He always don't want to come closer with me. I want a doctor to help me with the distance.
How to deal with your brother?
Huh?
How to deal with your brother and the businesses that he always run down, right?
Yeah.
Okay then. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, so you can tie that to finish up.
Yes, he said doctor, but I was firing to me.
All right, that is the country.
Anyway,
yeah.
But I will speak to that.
Yeah.
So we can start with what is possible for all the parents. and have a conversation with the parents.
That's right. To add value. Don't do this in isolation.
Don't just do it in isolation.
Yeah.
Go and call them and say, okay,
yeah,
we are going to start sending you the work to be done on WhatsApp. We are going to have WhatsApp groups for each class.
Right.
When you finish your work, it's a lot of typing, but you can just send a picture of the work you've done on the paper.
That's right.
To the teacher. It's a lot more work. But if you don't have the infrastructure to do the very elaborate ones, start with that one. Wow. And get the parents. You need to find parents who are actually prepared to give it and say, okay, in order to get the teachers to do this, we need at least to pay their salaries. They are taking a cut, but can you pay this? And then you need to personally engage, because it's, believe me, during this time, getting money out of people is a lot harder than a normal day, especially since you're not providing the full service.
That's right.
And you need to provide commensurate charges for what you do.
Okay.
And as you improve it, you realize that when you start it, you start to find other things. The other thing too is, online there are tools that help schools do this very well.
Okay.
Tools that they actually, a lot of companies have given these things out for free.
Okay.
During the pandemic, a lot of companies that do a lot of online content have actually provided a lot of things for free, and a lot of schools are looking. But if you don't know, then you can't find it.
That's right.
So you need to search for them. There are a few, I don't have the names offhand, but I know that they've actually done a few things for free that allow you to connect with the students through an app that is freely downloaded.
Okay. So that's actually finding solutions and adding values. And by that doing, you are solving the problems that currently this mother is going through with their kids at home and all that.
And all of that.
Wonderful.
And
wonderful
you can provide a lot of advice about how the parents can manage their children at home. Now, I saw a school that did that. It changed the interactions for the parents.
Okay.
So parents are still working, but the children are at home.
Yeah.
How do you organize that? How do you keep the children focused to do that? The other thing we must also realize that children can't be expected to do work throughout the day like they would have in school.
No, they need to have fun.
They need to have some fun.
Yeah.
So you need to plan that. And a school that actually owns that space finds that they're creating value that the parents would
And
appreciate.
quick reminder, you talk about 2 spaces now. We also need a creative space in our houses.
Absolutely.
An environment.
Absolutely.
Whether walking and being focused.
Absolutely.
It really helps you to identify the challenges and problems around.
Totally.
And the great entrepreneurs actually love problems. And sometimes they even want to create it, and they would love to see them. And they deal with it.
Absolutely. And parents need to get involved in that process. So parents need to partner with the teacher, because this is a very unique time.
Right.
If you do not partner with them, you'll find out that your children are left behind.
Yeah.
Because they'll be getting just that academic content, and that other part that makes children grow, which is the interaction. So parents need to spend some time doing a lot more interaction, and we now have the time to do that.
That's right.
So that's
our brother called from too far away, and we need to help him out.
Yes.
His brother who constantly mess up in the process. So what will be his fate in this process?
That's a difficult one.
Yeah.
Typically, when you have a business and it's run by family members, the context for engagement is always tough.
I think also identifying the skills of what they love to do.
Exactly.
He might not necessarily even
be
know
every
what he's
good
doing.
at all of these other things.
Exactly.
So finding out what he can do
well.
And I think he should be allowed to participate in the solution finding. That is, so you've done all of these things, but you have not worked. It's not worked well for you.
Yeah.
What is it that you feel you can do?
Right.
How can I help you get to that place? If he articulates his own pathway to solution, maybe we can help him.
That's right.
The second thing is having frank but sensitive conversations with people. And that's something that in Ghana is very difficult.
Very tough.
Nobody wants to be called a bad person, but sometimes when you're firm with the person then appreciates where you're coming from. And then you can come to the level where you can have a conversation that is meaningful.
Good. Elder, let me ask you a question. This one is coming from Frederick Aqua. Simply, he's actually asking, do you always need money to be innovative?
You don't need money at all to be innovative.
Right.
But I'm not going to say you don't need money to start a business. A lot of people always think that yes, you need money. But even the way you go about even accessing the funds can find its solution in innovation. So how are you going about raising the funds? How are you going about it? And it's not easy in Ghana, but it can be done if you are innovating. And innovating is free. You can think about it. You can find solutions locally. And during this period, I have seen some of the most exciting things. We've heard about the little boy who's created a portable washing unit.
Yeah.
We've seen mechanics from across the country who have created their own sinks, new apparatus to hold the Veronica buckets, improving everywhere. allowing us to use your feet to pedal the opening and closing of the taps, and many other things. So you don't need money to innovate.
Pastor Clifford Asumani Mafu, Pastor, actually we would have wanted you to throw more light on the trust and clarity. These two, you said, is very crucial as a leader.
Yeah.
So people need to trust you.
Yeah.
And when they do, they can even sacrifice part of their salary. And by doing that, you'll be able to run the business a bit longer. Then everybody says, I want what I want, and I'm not backing down, and the business will end up collapsing in our hands.
Yeah.
Ada, clarity.
All right, so on
Quick as you can.
Yes, so on clarity, creating clarity is an art.
Yeah.
You try several forms of communication. You measure the response. Be quick to try new ones.
Yeah.
And for leaders, never get tired of explaining yourself. Secondly, because you are the leader, every action you take is interpreted as part of the communication. Mm-hmm. So whenever you have opportunity to explain yourself, you do so, and you shouldn't tire of repeating yourself. And I can confirm to you that it is the most difficult thing to do. But if you want to create clarity, you cannot get tired with constantly explaining yourself.
That's true. Ada, there's a message here without a name. He said, this man is so brilliant. These are the people we need in our public and our economy. Ada, you're too good. I think you need to move about. You've been at Prince Emmanuel for too long. Other people need you. And I think the messages that are coming are all positive, and people have enjoyed your presentation so much.
We thank God.
People out there, I don't know how much to thank him. But before I really sign you off completely, Ada, what general advice would you only give for the last? For the people who have listened to you on this wonderful presentation, and those who are struggling at this moment. Yeah. In fact, if you could actually end up employing additional 5 or 6 people, tomorrow you see a queue at Bayport. But I can bet you can't do all that. But the point is that what advice? So this one, I'm going to put you in a seat of encouraging the young people who are out there, desperately need a job and don't know what to do.
So this is a very difficult time. There's no two ways about it. Across the nation, many companies are letting people go, and so there are no jobs out there. The biggest thing that needs to happen in Ghana is where a lot more people begin to look at how do we start livelihoods for ourselves and not wait for someone to come and look for us to employ us. And I guarantee you, I had one of the most exciting stories a few days back. I'm a young man who's staying with his uncle, and the uncle challenged me and said, boss, you can't sit at home throughout this part, just say you're learning and all of that. By midday, you're done, and you've got nothing else to do. I'm going to give you money to start you to do something. I'm going to give you about 1,000 cedis. Come and tell me what is. So he's fortunate, at least he's got someone who gave it to him. But what I loved about the story was that it forced a young man out of his comfort zone to start looking at it. So what does the young man do? He brings in groundnut paste and Tom Brown from up north. He prepared a long list of people who he called. He looked at his own contact list, called him and said, I've got superior quality groundnut paste and Tom Brown. Made in the north, good quality. Do you buy that? Do you use it? No, I don't use it. I don't really like it. Would you want to try it? I'll give you the first one for free. You try it. If you like it, then you start buying. If you like the quality, then you start buying. But in a month, the young man suddenly found that he enjoyed what he was doing.
What transformation?
And
interesting.
Has come back with the startup capital and additional has paid it off. And you know, it's not the big things. It's actually the very small things.
Wow.
I remember the very first day my wife sold a dress she had made. Yeah. It was like Christmas had come in my house.
Wow. It's a great
Everybody was excited because she was like, she didn't know that people would actually see the value and pay for it.
Voila.
I want to urge every young person to start to say, by all means, go to school, finish it up, look for those great jobs. But please begin to find out what's that second means of livelihood I can bring about now, before I become 40, before I become 30. I want a business that I do now. And you're not too young for it. Please start early. Believe you me, today is just a few hundreds. If you stick with it and you don't give up, you'll be talking a few millions at the right time.
Eda, I can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
People out there, my simple question to you. Do you have a creative space? Constant engagement with a device will deprive you the greatest opportunity of innovation, which will cause for a good design. And a good design, that will also save you a lot of money because it will be efficient. Think about it. If you don't have a creative space, find one. Do you like to dream? Do you like to think? Maybe you're not thinking enough. Your Eureka moment is just waiting at the corner. You've been talking too much rather than sitting down and thinking, and you've been identifying the problems, and you've been complaining too much. Maybe it's time for you to stop the complaining. Sit down and take a piece of paper and think, this particular problem, if I'm going through, there's somebody out there who is also facing the same challenge. How am I going to find a solution? And may God help you as you find the challenge. And remember, finally, people will like, in everywhere they find themselves, they would like to be reminded rather than to be instructed. On this note, we would like to thank you so very much. But we're looking forward to a wonderful presentation tomorrow too. Today we have schooled. Yesterday we were schooled. Tomorrow we will be schooled. You'll be getting ready for tomorrow's topic. I'm not telling you the topic, but if you follow through, visit the Hope website. Get more information about tomorrow. Tomorrow will be great because we're still going to be able to look at the greatest opportunity you have missed. This pandemic, some individuals are gaining, but some it has been a loss and a pain. In spite of all this together, a great entrepreneur is sitting down there taking a pen and paper and being creative how to turn this sadness into happiness and a joy in people's house. And by that is a solution found. And by that is money in the pocket. And by that, that is a joy and happiness for us to hasten the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. What are you doing to contribute? God bless you. Amen. Have a good evening. And thank you for listening and be with us. Elder, once again, God bless you too.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Doc. Thank you.
Hope Channel, changing lives.
A very good evening to you, my dear friend, and I want to welcome you to tonight's program, Evening Devotion. We want to thank God for His guidance and protection over us throughout the day, for ourselves and for our families, for our friends and for everyone. But it's time now, as we retire to bed, to take some time and reflect on God's Word. And so I would want to invite you to pick your Bibles as we read God's Word and meditate on it this evening. Shall we pick our Bibles and turn to the book of Exodus, chapter 33, verse 14. Exodus 33, and we're looking at verse 14. The Bible says, "And he said, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." There is nothing more assuring than knowing that the one who has sent you or given you an assignment to do is willing to give you all the needed support, and even should you face any challenge, will be ready to assist and to help you. There are instances where we have tried on our own and have reached the crossroads. At that point, we really wish there was a shoulder to lean on. Even as adults, there are times that we yearn for our parents' presence, especially when we encounter challenges. Children likewise find more assurance with the presence of their parents. This evening, God reminds you and I that His presence will be with us. Are you afraid of the night or darkness? Are you worried about what might befall you, God assures you tonight that His presence will go with you. He will be by your side every time. Your rest is assured. My prayer for you tonight is that you will experience God's presence every minute, every hour, every day, every week, every month, and every year. Most especially, may you experience God's presence in your workplace, at home, and wherever you find yourself. But tonight, may you experience God's presence as you take time to rest. And now, my dear friend, as we end this devotional time together, my prayer is that the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make His face to shine upon you and your family and be gracious unto you. The Lord turn His face toward you and may He grant you peace. Peace, perfect peace throughout the night until we meet again tomorrow evening. Shalom. May God be with you.
Hope Channel, changing lives.
Comfort ye